Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the March meeting of Murrumbidgee Council. I'd like to welcome all of the councillors and our council staff, and I acknowledge that Gary Bass is sitting in the gallery. Yep, the gallery. We pay respect to the traditional custodians of the lands and waters of the Murrumbidgee local government area and to all Aboriginal elders past, present and emerging. We are committed to honouring the continuing connection that the first Australians hold to Murrumbidgee's land, waters and community as one of the oldest living cultures in human history. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded. This recording will be placed on council's website following the meeting. Okay, we are all present and accounted for. No apologies. Would somebody like to move to the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on 25th of February 2025? Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Rice and seconded Councillor Heath. Then I'll put the recommendation that the minutes be adopted. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. I remind councillors of their pecuniary interest declarations. Are there any declarations that need to be made before we move forward? Not. I will move to the Mayor's report. I'll read this for the record. It certainly has been a summer to remind us all of just how long and hot they can be. And mix that up with a dose of unwelcome humidity, and we are all well and truly ready for autumn to arrive. While our agricultural activity is humming along with corn harvest well underway, rice almost ready to harvest and the cotton crops looking very promising, it is very dry and a significant rain event would be very welcome, as we had last week. Our place in the water advocacy space at both Murrumbidgee Council and Ramsay level is very active and very frustrating. We have our local member Helen Dalton MP, member for Murray, promoting a 7-point plan that hopes to address the pressing, not new and historically overlooked issues that are coming at us like a freight train. The promised $300 million for the buyback diversification offset across the basin, $160 million for the most heavily impacted 9 LGAs in the Southern Basin, has had its first tranche of $15 million released for immediate opportunity with shovel-ready projects. These most heavily impacted LGAs happen to be in our Ramsay footprint. All local government areas have shovel-ready projects ready to submit. That's how the cards fall with this opportunity is in the lap of the gods. The primary considerations for the success are that the projects must be jobs generators with significant economic activity. The General Manager and I attended a Ramsay members briefing from Telstra in Wagga Wagga on the 26th of February. Ensuring all of our residents have access and equity to reliable connectivity is a daily grind that tests even the most resilient of us. However, we will continue to advocate for what should not be a first world wish, but a certain deliverable. St Joseph's School facilitated the Jerilderie Fun Fair on the 1st of March. Congratulations to this hard-working committee and the many volunteers who support this event. With over 650 attendees and 36 stall holders, the third year of this event was a resounding success. The children's activities were funded by some of our renewable energy company developers and gratefully accepted. Council provided in-kind support. The day was hellishly hot, but that is the one thing you cannot control. The General Manager and I attended the Newell Highway Task Force Committee meeting in Narrabri on the 4th of March. Our presence in this space is vital. It's a very long highway and you need to be at the table to make sure your part of it is considered for future investment. Council has undertaken considerable community consultation for the development of our community strategic plan due for renewal right now. Our presence across all 3 communities with both operational and elected members engaged will hopefully deliver a comprehensive priority list for Council to work with moving forward. Thank you to those involved for making the time to be involved, and thank you to our community for taking the time to engage with us. Council has some exciting Youth Week activities proposed for the week of the 12th to the 17th of April. Please check Council's Facebook page and website to find out what activity is happening in your community. I would like to acknowledge and thank Council's Finance Manager Vicky Sutton for her contribution to both the previous Giraldry Shire Council and Murrumbidgee Council. As Vicky retires, we wish her well with the hope that her well-earned retirement offers her time to smell the roses and enjoy many different experiences with Ken and her family. As we move towards the commencement of our busy AFL, netball, rugby league, league tag, soccer seasons, I'd like to thank council staff and the organisations involved for preparing our facilities and presenting them in such an attractive manner. Our towns are proud of our facilities and we are indeed lucky to have them. And below are a list of meetings that I've attended in March. Are there any questions? If not, would somebody like to move that mayoral report, move Councillor Churgwin, seconded Councillor Murphy. I'll put the recommendation that the mayoral report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Delegates reports. There are no delegates reports, so we will move on to item 2, the General Manager's monthly report.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Just a couple of items to talk about today. Number one, our housing replacement program. So 21 Murrumbidgee Boulevard has also been sold. So both homes in Darlington Point have been sold. We're just waiting on the titles for the Young Street subdivision. Once we get that, I'll get the soil testing done on the 2 lots that we're going to build 2 new homes on, and we'll put those 2 homes to the market. And so once we've finished building them, we've replaced those. The 12 Argoon Street, council had a look at it this morning. It has been officially handed over by the session builders last Thursday. A few little things council still need to do, landscaping, fencing and blinds and things like that, which will happen over the next month or so. 2 Mundura Mews and 1 Kungara Crescents have been officially sold to the local health district. Transfer is not due until June, though, unfortunately, but that's fine. We're still renting them out to those from there. Once we've done that, we'll come back and have conversations, because we've had conversations in relation to building 4 2-bedroom key worker accommodation, 2 of which were going to be leased to Murrumbidgee Local Health District. So before we reignite that, I've asked Murrumbidgee Local Health District if they would like them, if they're still looking to rent them off us for a long-term lease, since their priorities have been changed to purchasing homes. So I haven't got that answer yet. It may not change our decision, but then again, it might change our decision at the end of the day. Young Street subdivision, they've started to install the NBN. The footpath should have been starting this week. Getting a nod from over the back there. Council will, once everything's done, we'll go through and we'll remove all the, I will distribute all the topsoil that's still in the mounds there. Still waiting on, well, as far as we're still waiting on Essential Energy to sign a certificate, which I've already signed and given back to them, so we can get the titles, so we can get the things, so I can go to a real estate agent, get a couple of them, get some proposals to start selling the land from that way. Powell Street, one way is open. Line marking was complete from what we requested to be done, but there's some other line marking still to be done. The signs have arrived. They just need to put them up. In our haste to transfer land back from Giraldry Independent Living, we forgot one more step in a terrifying land planning act that virtually states if we didn't state that it was operational land, then it automatically goes back as community land. That will be the same when we do take over the block of land in Carrington Street for the long daycare centre as well. So there's just a recommendation there to formally accept those blocks of land as operational land, just so there's no questions in the future. Griffith is hosting the MBA conference, and I'd like to recommend that we contribute $5,000 so we can get as an event sponsor to there to the Griffith Council recommendation. Been appointed, was successful in the appointment to the ward working party. The dates that we've got so far are the 7th of May and the 20th of August for this year. 2 of them, and there'll be probably one into the new financial year because the new award takes effect on the 1st of July 2026. You just heard Councillor McRae speak that $15 million of the $160 million Sustainable Communities program has been delivered. The money, the $160 million for New South Wales was $320 million as part of a $320 million fund that the federal government put forward for permanently removing consumptive water from the pool of available water. So removing billions of dollars worth of economic production every single year for a measly sum of $320 million. Their math is absolutely astounding. Right? The eligible projects there that we can apply for, timing is of a necessity. So I'm seeking for council to ratify 2 applications that I have had submitted. One for the industrial precinct at Darlington Point, and the other one for cabins at the Riverside Caravan Park. Just a list of the upcoming movements for the rest of the year as I know them, sitting there for council. Any questions?
Any questions, councillors? I've got a question, John. When you were speaking about Powell Street, you didn't mention the bollards. Are they here?
No, the bollards are not here. They are telling me April. So they told me January, then they told me February, then they told me March, and now they're telling me April.
And have we made any inroads into the relocation of the vehicle charging centres?
All of that that's all been signed off, so it's all in NRMA's hands to go ahead and install over there in Kennedy Street.
Do we have a time frame on that?
We do not have a time frame on that.
Are there any, Councillor Churgwin?
I just want to ask, with the 15 million early investment round, have they given us any indication on how long before they make a decision?
The money will be available within 12 weeks, so they want to make decisions quickly. Before June, we have to be able to be started by May 25 and must be completed by June 27.
And the projects, there's not a lot of definition around what you can and can't do, but the projects can range from 50,000 through to 4 million, 4 million's the cap. So if you've got a couple of big projects, it's not going to hit the ground, really, no.
So, yeah, so applications were put into the caravan park around about the 870,000 mark, and for the industrial precinct added up just on 2 million, I think it is 1.9 million.
At least they're projects you can get started on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The meeting was very Griffith centric, but there was enough councils in the room to say, can you take Griffith out of your commentary and refer to the region?
Yes.
So, and we advocated long and hard for equity in the rollout. You know, just because you're a small council and you've got $1 million project, it should be not viewed as less worthy than perhaps a $4 million project in some of the bigger centres. So they did take that on board. Whether that actually happens or not, it'll be interesting to see. And Ramjo was sitting at the table too in their capacity, and we thought that perhaps in this initial $15 million rollout, we should let the LGAs as individuals get their foot in the door and perhaps then prepare something a bit bigger for the remaining pool. Yeah. Any other questions? If not, would somebody like to move the General Manager's recommendation, please? Move Councillor Strawn, seconded Councillor Bryce, and the recommendation will read: information contained in the General Manager's monthly report be noted. Further that land situated at lot 74 and 75, DP 1225744, being 12 and 14 Bunyola Boulevard, Murrumbidgee, be classified as operational land to enable it to be used for housing. 2, lot 4, DP 718198, 31 Carrington Street, Darlington Point, to be acquired from Waddy Housing and Advancement Corporation, be listed as operational land for the location of the Darlington Point Long Daycare Centre. 3, council allocate to Griffith City Council $5,000 to be an event sponsor of the Murray-Darling Association Conference 29th of September to the 2nd of October 2025. And 4, A, council ratify the actions of the General Manager in submitting applications to the New South Wales Sustainable Communities Program for water and sewage connection to the industrial precinct at Darlington Point and for additional cabins for the Riverside Caravan Park at Darlington Point. B, council authorise the contribution of 25% to be taken from unrestricted cash and water and sewage reserves respectively. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 3, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Item 3 is a report to Council seeking consideration to endorse 2 plans of management for Crown Lands that Council is manager of. The first one being pump station land at Murrumbidgee, and secondly, the plan of management for the Darlington Point Riverside Caravan Park. These are the last 2 plans of management for Council's Crown Land that we'll be bringing to Council. And the recommendation is that Council endorse those draft plans so that we can put them on public exhibition before final adoption. We've also included a recommendation that no submissions be received during the exhibition period. At the end of the exhibition period, we will then Council adopt the plans of management.
Okay. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Kirby, seconded Councillor Churgwin. Is there any commentary or any questions of Gary? If not, the recommendation will read that A, council endorse the draft plan of management for the area of cultural significance, pump station and the draft plan of management for the Darlington Point Riverside Caravan Park, enabling them to proceed to public exhibition for a period of 28 days with a further 14 days for submissions. And B, should no submissions be received, council adopt the plan of management for area of cultural significance, pump station and the plan of management for Darlington Point Riverside Caravan Park. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 4, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Item 4 is a report to Council to consider development application 2420 of 2024 for a 12 metre by 42 metre by 4.8 metre high shed, storage of a collection of private collection of storage of trucks at 33 Oaklands Road. Murrumbidgee, due to the size of the shed in the zone, Council determined that it should be exhibited to adjacent landowners, and 3 submissions have been received. The applicant in their submissions stated that the shed is essentially for domestic storage of a collection of historical vehicles and trucks. Now, whilst this is not a typical domestic use, the primary purpose of the shed is subservient to the residential use of the zone. The applicant also stated that the purpose of the shed is not for commercial purposes, and Council has considered it on that basis. The 3 submissions that were received as a result of the public exhibition period stated the following reasons of their objections. It's contrary to the spirit of the zone, the reduction in property values, stormwater disposal, hours of operation and time limits, bulk and scale of the shed visually unappealing and impact on ambience of creek life, and conflicting public interest. The shed and application and objections were considered in accordance with provisions of Section 415 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, and as a result of that, it's been recommended to Council that the application be approved subject to conditions.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Kirky, seconded Councillor Strong. I'll open up for conversation. Councillor Kirky, do you have any comment?
I believe the application has met all the criteria, so therefore I'm not against it.
Okay, Councillor Strong? No? Would anybody like to speak against? Councillor Black?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to go to the New South Wales Planning Zones reference list. And an overview in New South Wales of R5 zoning designates land for large lot residential or rural residential areas, aiming to preserve rural settings, minimise environmental impacts, and to ensure large lots don't hinder future urban development. With that, land it should be used primarily for residential purposes in a rural setting where dwellings are not primarily associated with agriculture. A dwelling is likely to provide life for lifestyle reasons and must preserve the locality's landscape values and limit potential impacts on those values, natural scenic beauty, and importance of significant views. And I believe the size of the shed impacts on the locality and the scenic views.
Okay. Are there any further commentary? Councillor Major?
Yeah, question, Gary. So what's the conditions? Can you run us through
The conditions.
some of the conditions of consent that you said to be subject to?
Conditions of consent are quite specific and extensive, which are listed. A number of them are fairly standard conditions. Consent that we normally put on the Department of Planning to provide a standard condition of consent.
So is there any particularly relevant to shading? So I see that was a
So there are
concern as an
conditions-
objective.
There are conditions that relate to landscape.
Yep.
Developer required to undertake landscaping. Stormwater management, stormwater not impact on adjoining properties. Use of the shed is used for domestic storage purposes only. To house a private collection of historic trucks and vehicles. Sheds not to be used for commercial or industrial purposes, such as truck depot, vehicle body repair shop, vehicle repair station, private sales for hire premises. Access and loading has to be done on site and not affect the amenity area. So they're more specific conditions in addition to the standard conditions we normally apply.
Councillor Churgwin?
I've got a concern with the size of the roof space in a major storm and how the stormwater would be managed under the circumstances of a huge dump of rainfall and you're getting that much water on a shed roof and it's got to go away somewhere. Is the stormwater being managed adequately, do you think?
Through Madam Mayor, the applicant in 2022 applied for and was granted DEA consent to undertake landforming works there and building up a pad. And that work was in association with improving stormwater control on the site. So the condition of consent is quite specific that no stormwater can impact on adjoining land.
So did that require piping or what sort of drainage has been put in
I
place?
understand it was landforming to change the slope of the stormwater retention on the site, so encroaching on adjoining land.
Councillor Bryce?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The three submissions that were received, their main objection that would come to deterrent is the use of the shed as a business as opposed to as storage shed for personal reasons. And that's something that we have to take as the proponent is going to do as he suggests or they suggest right through the life of the shed. In giving permission, we just have to rely that council will or would be able to determine if that wasn't the case and would act in a manner that would stop that happening. Other than that, the fact that the stormwater has been effectively dealt with previous to this DA, like splitting it into 2 DAs, the way that they have, I can't see that as Steve's written his whole report, that everything has been dealt with legally, that we really can't be any other but for their development. But certainly neighbours are concerned about the amenity of such a big shed, and that is, we take that on board.
I have a question. Gary, you mentioned that one of the conditions is that landscaping will be undertaken. Is a landscaping plan being submitted?
I'm take on a notice, Madam Mayor. That is specific in the landscaping shall be minimum strip 3 metres wide, include tree and shrub species endemic to the area. Trees are to be planted at minimum mature height of 6 to 10 metres, with the canopy spread at least 5 metres.
And it does state that if the canopy dies, that it has to be replaced.
Could add that.
It is in there already.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are we looking at something like I take on board that across from this application is another long-standing shed that has had a tree line there that actually obscures it? So is that what we can be expecting?
Okay. But I imagine that's the intent of that, absolutely.
Are there any further questions? Councillor Major.
So if in the future it was found to be running a business out of there, what steps, what options does council have to address that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, under the provisions of the Development Planning Assessment Act, we can issue orders and undertake investigative work and ultimately issue penalty fines on the developer to stop that from happening.
Okay. I've got another question, Gary. This will not have an ability to have trucks or trailers or whatever for sale in front of the shed with, onto the road, visibility onto the road.
I'll read out the condition again.
Place of business in other words.
All vehicle sales or hire premises.
Well, it's not a business.
No.
It's a storage shed.
Shed is not to be used for commercial or industrial purposes such as truck depot or vehicle sales on or hire premises.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments?
I just got,
Major.
yeah, just got a comment. I think in the spirit of the zoning, it would have been better for this shed to be in an industrial area. I think that's where it's more suited, but however, I do agree, it meets our LAP. So yeah, I support the proposal as submitted by Gary and Steve.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no further comment or questions, I will put it to the vote for the recommendation. Recommendation first, or just
We'll do a
get the vote?
recorded vote with a show of hands first.
Okay. Recorded vote. Those in favour of the development application, please raise your hand. You counting Julie?
Yep.
Okay. Those against? Okay. And Chris.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so the recommendation will now read that the Murrumbidgee Council as the consent authority pursuant to section 4.16 in brackets 1 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act of 1979 grant consent to the development application number DA 24-2024 for a shed at lot 2 DP 16814.33 Oaklands Road, will be subject to conditions including those sent out in the attachment 4. B, the development application be delegated to the Director of Planning and Infrastructure for issue of the notice of determination. And C, council undertake a division and record all votes for and against. Okay, which we've done. So I'll put that recommendation. Those in,
Yep, got that.
I've done it. Okay, right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 5, please.
That's me. That was the Tidy Towns meeting held in February, sorry. I don't think there was anything. We didn't have a official treasurer's report if the treasurer was away sick. So it is just a recording of the actual bank balance, not any items of business through the treasury. I don't think there was anything to bring to council's attention other than we were discussing the defibrillator placement up the main street, and that happened. They must have been doing it while we were in the meeting. Okay. It was there the next day. So I don't think there's anything else.
Okay, any questions of Councillor Bryce? I've just got a comment regarding Councillor Bryce's comment around the defibrillator. I had asked council staff if there could be a register of where the defibrillators are kept in town and whether they were installed inside or outside of buildings, so that all of the communities, organisations and businesses and whatever know where these are kept. And I'd like to know if that's been done.
So we have, as far as I understand, all of ours are on their website now, and they're still collating the ones that are in like Monash Park and wherever to be put on that same list.
So can we expect that
When
sooner?
that's done, yes.
Right, no, sooner rather than later, and then so that all of the people, the community, can be actually made aware of where these are, and it should actually be included in some of our tourist information and whatever for travellers and people coming through our towns.
So,
Yes, Troy.
yes, I agree with that, Ruth. And another good place would be some notice boards around town. So there's one at IGA, like the
Yeah.
your nearest
Yes.
defibrillator is 200 metres up the road.
Yeah, and perhaps a bit of an informational promotion thing around it once we've got all our ducks sorted, so that we're doing the best we can, not only for our community, but the people that visit and travel through here. Okay. Okay, Councillor Bryce, would you like to move your report for noting? Sure. Move Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Major. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 6, please.
Item 6 is the Sturt Highway Task Force meeting minutes. Before I get into the minutes, just want to thank Julie Conn as our secretary for coming along and doing these minutes. Very professional and well set out. The purpose of the main purpose of the meeting was we were going through and we're going to have our strategic planning session, which we did after we had our presentation from Transport for New South Wales, which generated lots of discussion at the time, as you could see reading through the minutes. And then we went into the strategic planning, Stewart Highway strategic direction, and identified the priority areas, including the line separation and audible lines, clear zones, audible lines, shoulder width, and we've come up with advocacy points for each of them: overtaking lanes, rest areas, bypasses, flood resilience, intersections, and the highway the advocacy all the way through. I'll be turning these advocacy documents virtually, as I've got there, as the advocacy being the outcome, similar to our priorities document. We're putting in some pretty pictures and some other words around each of these so that we have specifically being try and get it for this election, federal election, but definitely for the state election comes around in the next little while to have those moving forward. Very well attended by all the councillors right across, both in person and online. As you can see, local members are represented. If they're not there themselves, they're sending a member of their staff to be sitting on the panel. So we have Susan Lees and Helen Dalton is represented here. Transport for New South Wales and the councils. Once before, we had apologies this time round from the police in particular. So they all sit on there, and we're trying to work out at our next meeting whether we're expanding and who else we're going to bring on to this task force to get all the information we can, so we can push our lobbying. Considering there's only been probably about $25 million in upgrade money that's been spent on the Sturt Highway in the past 5 or 6 years, it needs some significant investment. We need to be able to push and advise government what that is going to be. So, as I say, of these meetings, the Sturt Highway and the Newell Highway Task Force, they are significant travel experiences, but being in the room, we can really get things put together and prepared and get some real outcomes for our highways, like we already have on the Newell Highway. We've got close to $1 billion through the task force invested on that road over the past 5 or 6 years, so or 6 or 7 years. Well worth. And this, any questions? Councillor Major?
I don't have a question, but I just do think it is a good initiative that this council started, and yeah, I think with the focus on that road, it's very positive. So I think our efforts and taking on the secretariat role and that for it, I think it will be well rewarded in years to come. So keep up the good work.
Where that comes from, Councillor Troy, is that our mayor refuses no job ahead of it. She takes on all these jobs, and by Councillor McRae having these jobs, John and Julie have to go along and look after it.
But I think it's something we strongly, we believe in.
I'd just
think
like
it needs
to,
upgrading.
I'd just
So,
like
yeah.
to add to that John and Julie actually do the work on like the Daryl Kerrigan. I've got the good ideas, but they have to do the work. And John was quite right in acknowledging Julie's contribution in this space, because after the meeting, which was at Wentworth, which was a fair hike, both the Mayor of Wentworth and the Mayor of Balranald actually came up to us and said that's one of the best meetings we've attended in a long time, because it actually had some structure and it had
A real focus.
real focus. So that was,
And that also comes from the Newell Highway Task Force being so involved and constant.
yeah, we had the,
Like if we'd only ever been a breeze in every now and then.
Yep.
That historic work is what's led to a good platform.
yeah, as John said, like there's significant travel inputs, like it was 9-hour trip to Narrabri. But if you're not in the room, you're not considered. So, but no, it's a very worthwhile project, and I think it will get some real traction. So yeah, it's very worthwhile. Somebody like to move.
I just got a quick question.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to know, with I see Transport New South Wales are represented there. How do you think their attitude is to the Sturt Highway compared to their attitude to the Newell? Do you think?
Well, they have to report now.
They have to report.
They have to report to the local bodies, which they weren't before. So
Accountability.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in Transport for New South Wales that is against it or doesn't have the residents of New South Wales and the visitors at heart for the safety on the roads. It's just it's never had an advocacy point, and if there aren't the locals pushing it up in the eyes of the the politicians at the end of the day and the ministers, then that highway will get the minimum amount of money that it needs
Yep.
to perform at its lowest possible that it can without causing too much problem. We're trying to elevate it into their psyche that with improved safety, better pavement, wider pavement, not only for safety but improvements in freight movements and everything else like that, reducing time. It can only be a benefit to the economy of Australia and New South Wales.
Oh, it's good. I'm pleased we come up with it.
Anybody else? If not, do we have a mover and seconder?
We need one. Councillor Black.
Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Curfew, that the minutes of the Sturt Highway Task Force Committee meeting be tabled. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 7, please.
LEMC meeting. Councillor Black as the chair. Would you like to?
You
Speak on this?
no, you can.
I'll be fine. Was held on the 19th of February, I suspect.
Yeah.
The minutes there is, hey, yeah. The self-explanatory. Our report's in there where we advise that the 2 SES sheds have been given the green light by council, and we'll be starting construction as soon as we can get people prepared to come to do the work. You'll see the other ones there. New South Wales Reconstruction Authority and others would like to join the LEMC, so we're talking about those. Then reports of the a lot of the other agencies have been attached to the meeting minutes as well. And a shout out to Emma Bryce for doing these minutes and doing them quite very well. And being in the new chamber at Collyambley, where everything worked or didn't work at the time, but we soon got away with everything that we needed to get the information. So I'll just leave it for councillors if they've got any questions from.
Well, I'd just like
the
to add that
reports.
quite a bit of time was spent on the 2 drownings at Franklin Point.
Yep.
And we got a good explanation there why certain people were invited and other people weren't to the incidents. But excellent that we've got these people in their room explaining that their job's not a very nice, not a very pretty job, and they're going out to disasters in the area, whether it's on the road or whether it's in the river, and we've got to do proactive things to stop these accidents happening. That goes to the Sturt Highway, Kipling Way, as well as the river and anything else. So I thought it was an excellent meeting. I think it was the most comprehensive meeting we've ever had, I think, John.
Councillor Major.
Yeah, John, I noticed in your report you've got an action about closely liaison with Murrumbidgee Council and all the other people involved in a disaster.
Yep.
What was the outcome in the meeting? That was your action you wanted. Did you get some progress? And
It was just pointing out into the meeting as it's like Murrumbidgee Council is very proactive. We will put graders, we'll put water carts, we'll put loaders, we'll put excavators to any disaster without even being asked. We're virtually there. The water tanker is pulling up beside a red fire truck before they even ask for it.
Yep.
So they've got the body of water there. That's just how we're rolling, and we do that. So most of this was just coming about because of a lot of angst in the community about the way some agencies come in and say things that may not be the best for the health and well-being of our people. So I was just trying to stress straight out that we are there. Every single one of Murrumbidgee Council's employees is there to assist in whether it's notifying the community, doing up letters and letter drops, or getting out or knocking on doors or doing whatever. and getting the right message out rather than some of the hysterical messages that might have been proposed along the way without throwing anybody under a bus.
Which
Right?
I agree with.
So
Is there any
they-
formal
They
steps being
they
taken?
took it, they nodded, Councillor Black, would you say? They were nodding at what we were saying, but I don't think it's going to happen straight away. A lot of, I don't like the way that emergencies are handled in New South Wales. They should be complete. We've got too many combat agencies. The police should be the combat agency for every single disaster in this state, and you utilise the RFS, the SES, the ambulance, the Murrumbidgee local health for what they're good at, and not necessarily being combat agencies of emergency services. Are they good at? Right. So if we could have that one lead control with the police for everything, we would be a far better responder to emergencies. We probably wouldn't need so much bloody bureaucracy, and we could probably save a bit of money there as well. But that's my stance, not Murrumbidgee Council's. That's my
It
stance.
is also the police officer's stance that day too.
Well, yeah, well, that's,
He did explain that to the New South Wales Fire.
yeah,
You're a fire responder. You're not an emergency responder.
that's right. So
So,
that's,
so could we be proactive and develop a MOU and a draft MOU put forward to these other agencies?
I probably think that we may have a better shot at actually trying to change the emergency management system through the local government, New South Wales,
Okay.
getting a resolution up there to try and, we have to word it right. Can't say that we want what Victoria does or what Queensland does, because New South Wales likes to be a little bit different.
Yep.
But
Well, we all want to be different, don't we?
we all want to be different. And as I've said, I even said in that meeting when we had a meeting with a former planning minister who was telling us that they are going to have a reconstruction authority, which they've modelled on Queensland. I welcomed it. But the only thing they modelled from Queensland was the name, the Reconstruction Authority. Nothing else. Like you would have seen, we have had disasters, and I'll put our resources out there. And yes, our ratepayers have to pay it, but we're protecting our ratepayers. And there's money that we won't get back because we've done that. You would have heard it if you watched any of the reports for Tropical Cyclone Alfred. They come out and said the Reconstruction Authority has already put money in the banks of every local government so that they can go off and do what they need to do to protect the community. That's what the Reconstruction Authority did. They'd give $100,000 or $200,000 straight up. You would go out there and expend. You have all your staff building levees with all their equipment and doing whatever to protect, or opening up stuff and doing whatever. You had the money to do it. Here, we went ahead and did that. The only person that could sign off on that is the SES, and the SES is not going to sign it off retrospectively. So we do the money. We do our money, right? But they invented the Reconstruction Authority, which I thought, well, great thing. That's what that whole thing is about. They take over and they do that ahead of the stuff, and still nothing along that line whatsoever. So we need to, if we're going to be in that space, then they really need to enact the change. They needed to enact the change of of those two people that they had, the former police officer or whatever he was, and Mick Kelty, was it, did a report on the disasters, and some of those recommendations, they're not combining the SES and the RFS administration. They're still keeping them apart and everything else like that. They need to really do some structural reform in the emergency system.
Well, we'd
Police
always
in
heard that they were going to combine the RFS and the VRA, but that's the first I'd heard of the SES.
Oh, that was out of Kelty's report or one of those ones or whatever.
Because they've been
The
talking
enumeration.
about joining the VRA and
They were just doing back office stuff. You'd still have the orange, and you'd still have the.
nearly all our
the blue.
VRA volunteers are RFS volunteers
Yeah,
anyway. So.
I think a point to make here is that local people do local best, and from all of the commentary and reports I heard from the storm that went through Colliambly, it was the Shire workers that
And
really
Collie
led the way.
irrigation.
And
And
Collie
Collie
irrigation,
absolutely.
they led the way. And
The SES should have pissed off.
well, I wasn't going to say that. But
Not on
not
recording,
not
no.
But I just wanted to make mention of the fact that it was our local people that were really in that space and had the smarts to be able to get in and do the work.
Yep.
And our community certainly appreciated that. Rob?
Reading through this report, this is fantastic, this report. I'd like to make note with the VRA rescue and Stephen Holmes in regards to the life buoys at
Yep.
the Darling Point jetty and
Yep.
security camera that comes out of this report. So I'd like to make sure that we're in train to make that happen.
I authorised them pre-Christmas, so I have to
Right, so
follow.
it's in train, yeah.
Yep.
I know our lighting project's underway.
Yep.
So, that will improve safety. Life buoys will improve safety. The trigger system to know when they're gone is also a very good point that comes out of this report. So we can make sure if they hit someone, they can be replaced or we can recover them.
Mhm.
And, I think, cameras is also a very good point as well, because, if there's an incident, it's good to be able to record that incident and see how we can improve in the future. So all these ideas that have come out of this report, if we can action that, they'll make our community a lot safer. So great report. Thanks for the people involved.
Yeah, and just it relate and if we go back to the storm, Councillor Strawn rang me, and I don't know. We must have been up there. We must have been out within an hour. Everybody up there doing stuff from the time that I hung up from Councillor Strawn and rung Justin and got everybody going. It was just fantastic. So, well, we've said hats off to our staff before. We'll say it again.
Yeah.
They were fantastic getting up there. Councillor Maitland.
So just closing the loop on the agencies working together, the action
Yep.
is that you're gonna put a motion up through local government.
I think we should put an action.
So I certainly endorse that, so
Yep.
let's see that happen.
Yep.
And then just one other question, which isn't really related, but it comes from the minutes about the petrol station that caught on fire. What's the latest on it, Garrett?
Yeah,
Where's it
look,
up?
through you, Madam Mayor, we've now got confirmation that the owners have accepted the quote to remove it. The contractor has now issued his mandatory 5 days notice to the EPA, so it should start within probably the end of next week. Fingers crossed. We're sort of acting as the intermediary, so it's a bit of toing and throwing, but we understand that they've accepted the quote, that paid their 50% deposit. The EPA have been notified.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions, would somebody like to move to the Murrumbidgee Local Emergency,
Did you? Oh no, sorry, that was the last one.
Local Emergency Management Committee meeting minutes be noted? Somebody like to move Councillor Kirby, seconded Councillor Jersey.
I'll move back.
Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 8, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Murrumbidgee Traffic Committee, there are only two items, the tractor pool. And I believe there's a typo in here, John. The public liability was to name them on the public liability, the council, Transport for New South Wales and New South Wales Police. Weren't they supposed to be on the
I wasn't there.
certificate? They were supposed to be on the certificate, not just emailed, but they need to be on the certificate for the public liability. But there's a tractor pull happening in Colliambley on the 9th of August and a vehicle run. So if they get the public liability done, they'll be right. And the Anzac Day in Jerilderie, which is going to go straight from the corner here down to the centre path, straight down the
Highway.
the Newell Highway.
Yeah.
It'll be, so
Straight
that's,
down the
again, the
Newell.
public liability needs to state those names on the public liability, so. And then we came to the Youth Week, where in Darlington Point, there's no objection to closing McAllister Street, and hopefully they have a good outcome with the skate park walls, so. Business, very quick meeting, thank you very much.
Any questions of Councillor Black? If not, Councillor Black, would you like to move
I will.
the Traffic Committee meeting minutes be noted. Moved councillor Black, seconded councillor Rice. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 9, please.
Item 9 is just the monthly investment report that's provided to council each month, reporting council's currently invested funds. Again, we're still outside of the parameters that are set under the investment policy, just due to that ongoing investment of the Bendigo Bank, the funds invested in Bendigo Bank. And I would note that the rate of return for the month was slightly under the benchmark, but the financial year to date has remained above the benchmark.
Are there any questions or comments for Caitlin, please? If not, would somebody like to move that the report be moved councillor Turkey, seconded councillor Heath. And the recommendation will read that council notes the monthly investment report identifying all money council has invested under section 625 of the Local Government Act 1993. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 10, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 10 relates to the progress report on the 2024-2025 delivery program review for the period of 1 July 2024 to 31 December 2024. Recommendation is council note the progress report. The actual document itself is attachment 8. The business page. Any questions?
Any questions of Gary, please, regarding the delivery program review? Not, would somebody like to move, please? Move councillor Strong, seconded councillor Churban, and the recommendation will read the progress report on the Murrumbidgee Council's delivery program to 31 December 2024 be noted. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 11, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Item 11 lists the number of development applications approved under delegated authority for February 2025. And I must note there's need a correction. Development application 26/2024. Planning officer got very excited and approved it, despite council refusing consent. I'm sorry about that.
Mind reader.
No. Okay. Are there any questions of Gary, please? Not, would somebody like to move? Move councillor Saxick, second councillor Black. The recommendation will read the information contained in the development applications approved under delegation for February 2025 report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Thank you, councillor.